Avengers Endgame Encore released its first trailer, and there is one line of dialogue and some choice shots in this trailer that tell us a lot about how this version of Endgame will set up Avengers Doomsday. Hey everyone, Colton here, and Avengers Endgame Encore is hitting theaters September 25th. It is a re-release of Avengers Endgame with a few extra minutes of footage and an exclusive look at Doomsday, all helping to set the stage for this next chapter. Now, we have talked a lot before about which scenes we think will likely be added to this cut of the film, as well as post-credit scenes that we think could be added. But now that we have this trailer and some new comments from the Russo brothers, we need to reassess what exactly this movie is about to deliver.
It's going to connect the story of the two movies. There's a natural progression from Endgame into Doomsday, which is also inclusive of all the other stories that have been playing out. But I think it's important to see Endgame in theaters again for two reasons. One, if you want to have a lot of fun cheering and screaming and reliving all the emotions you had the first time you saw it. Number two, I think it's required viewing for following the story in Doomsday.
If you saw Endgame when it originally was released, you couldn't see this coming.
So let's watch the trailer and then we'll talk about it on the other side, as well as some new posters for Endgame Encore that have some fans perplexed over a missing Infinity Stone.
Hey Cap, you read me? Cap, it's Sam. Can you hear me? On your left. Avengers! Assemble.
We have a plan. 6 stones.
God, it looks so much better,
One shot.
color-wise and stuff.
You mess with time.
Oh, that shot looks great.
Time tends to mess back. Tony, this is a second chance.
All right, so many have pointed out that this re-release of Endgame appears to have been given a color boost, and oh my god, yes, it does look a lot better. I don't know why the Infinity Saga always felt the need to make everything so damn gray and desaturated and muddy. I was really delighted to see how beautiful the color looks in Doomsday, and now with Endgame Encore, it looks like they took a little time to give it a recolor as well, and it looks great. But that's not why you're here, right? You're not here to hear me talk about colors. You want to hear me talk about, this new line?
You mess with time. Time tends to mess back.
So for a long time, this line from Endgame has been one that we have gone back to as a faint hint to what could come in the multiverse saga, but the original line goes like this.
You mess with time, it tends to mess back. You'll see.
Now, the simplest answer is that this is a different take from when they were filming Endgame, and they thought it'd be fun to swap out the takes because this one says time twice and makes it all the more of a retroactive setup for Doomsday, which will also, of course, deal with time. Is it possible that they had Downey re-record the line for the trailer and maybe even for the movie? Sure, but I think if we go into Encore and see a completely new take where we actually see Tony say time tends to mess back, that will be a good indication that it's just an alternate take that they had and they thought it'd be fun to include. Now, speaking of time, I've seen some fans pointing out that all of these posters that have been released for Encore have something in common. They don't feature the time stone. In this one, it's because of the way his hand is turned. Here, it would be hidden behind Steve's head. Could that be implying that Steve returned all of the stones except the time stone? Maybe, but I highly doubt it. But I will admit, yes, it is interesting that the green time stone is the one absent from these posters for Endgame Encore, which is of course building to Doomsday. Could it be a sign of something? Sure, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I'm hesitant to think that there's a there, but you know, maybe. And if they are hiding it for a reason, What is that reason? What are they teasing? I would love to hear your theories down in the comments below. Now, as for new footage, I do have some ideas of what I think they may have added to the film. So let's start with something that they actually already filmed years ago, and that's Loki landing in the desert and getting nabbed by the TVA. I mean, in this trailer, they do show the scene of Loki escaping with the Tesseract, and they're showing the significance of that moment, the moment that kickstarted this whole multiverse extravaganza that we have been on. So I think including a little bit of that scene from the Loki series where he landed in the desert and was arrested by the TVA, including that in the Endgame Encore cut, that would be a great addition to the film to give a little more context of where Loki went. And I don't think you include like anything beyond that. I think you cut it once he goes through the portal with the TVA. I think if you include anything beyond that, it starts to get a little bloated and goes too off course from like the actual story of the film. I don't think you show his trial or any of that, but just showing the arrest, that does a lot. It introduces the TVA into this story, and it provides even better setup for another scene that I think will be added to the end of Endgame Encore, which is Loki arriving at Steve's house in the past, a scene that we are pretty certain is going to be in Avengers Doomsday, so why not go ahead and add it into Encore? Rumor has it from leaks and whatnot that Loki comes to Steve's house in the past and says, hey, you being here is going to cause trouble, but I can move you and Peggy and your son to a different universe, Universe 828, the Fantastic Four universe, and Doctor Doom's universe, and Loki says that there Steve can live his life without causing any trouble on the timeline. Now, as far as other like Doomsday scenes that could be cut into Endgame Encore, it has been reported that there is a scene that takes place at Tony's funeral toward the beginning of Doomsday. Whatever that scene is, which I've theorized could be Steve talking to like Bucky, Thor, and Ant-Man about how he needs to return the stones and maybe share his plan to stay in the past, that would be great to add in, especially if your goal is to set up Doomsday and set up Steve as one of your central characters for this story. We could also get a Soul World vision for Tony, not the deleted scene where he sees an older Morgan, but like a brand new one that they filmed for this version of the film, and one that better connects to Doomsday, maybe one that involves Doctor Doom. I mean, if Tony and Doom are variants of one another, and what is Tony sacrificing in this moment? Himself, just like, Thanos saw Gamora because that's who he sacrificed. And arguably, we saw Tony see Morgan in that deleted scene because he sacrificed getting to see her grow up. But if we want to get more literal and say that Tony would see the physical life that he sacrificed, that would be his own. So he could see himself in this vision. So maybe that self could be Doctor Doom. And Doom's connection to the mystic arts and his potential exploration of like dream walking, where you use dark magic to peer into the lives of your variant selves, that could all connect. So maybe when Tony snaps, we see Doom in his universe like meditating or whatever, or exploring the multiverse, and at that moment, they are connected, and Doom could like feel the reverb of Tony's snap throughout the multiverse and the implications that are about to rise from that. And we could see Doom and Tony see each other in the Soul World. That would be dope. I mean, just Tony waking up in the Soul World and just seeing in the distance this guy standing in a cloak, and like maybe that's it. Oh my God. That'd be cool. So anyway, back to the trailer. They have some cool shots of the Ancient One, Wanda, Captain Marvel, making me wonder if maybe they are all in Doomsday as well. They haven't been confirmed, but I really hope they're in it. And one of the key things that I took away from this trailer was them including this shot of Steve stepping onto the time platform and including the line, "Tony, this is a second chance," which is a line that Steve says to Tony earlier in Endgame when he is trying to convince Tony to help them with the time heist idea. But they have this line playing with this shot of Steve as he is returning the stones and about to embark on his second chance at having a life with Peggy, staying in the past. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that journey that Steve went on in these closing moments of Endgame Encore. Maybe we see that closing shot of Steve and Peggy dancing get interrupted by a knock at the door. Perhaps it's Loki. And I have heard some speculate that maybe we'll see Steve like returning the stones only to realize that the timelines are gone because the TVA pruned them. I don't think so. I think, Steve, he's supposed to return the stones to the moment they were taken, and that moment, I guess, would still exist. I just really don't think they're going to go into all that, having him get there and, the timeline. I don't think they're going to do all that. Plus, I really do think that Steve did return the Infinity Stones because he tells Sam in Endgame as an old man after I returned the stones, I thought I'd go get some of that life that Tony told me to get. So I do think that Steve returned the stones. And yes, I do think that this Steve is 100% a Steve that has lived through the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars already. And lastly, I just want to say, I think it'd be cool if they George Lucased this thing and put Catherine Newton's Cassie Lang into the movie, because look, no disrespect whatsoever to the actress that played Cassie in Endgame. She should still remain in the original cut of the film forever and always. But for the encore cut of the film, why not reshoot this really simple scene with Scott and Cassie and have it be Newton? I mean, they're both in the movie, Rudd and Newton, and you could film it right there on the set of Doomsday. So if your intention is for people to watch this before going into Endgame and you're adding stuff anyway, I say, why not? Why not do it? And then, of course, there's the possibility of post-credit scenes that could be direct scenes pulled from Avengers Doomsday. Maybe some of this stuff that we've mentioned they could cut into the film could instead be in a post-credit scene. Perhaps they release a new trailer or just a scene from the film during the credits. The possibilities are really endless, and I am super excited. You know, I was unsure if I was going to see Endgame Encore because I've rewatched Endgame multiple times since it came out, and I actually just did a rewatch of it with my nephew. So the idea of sitting for 3 hours watching Endgame again at a theater when, you know, I have my wife and son at home and I've been at work all day, you know, it's like, do I need to go do that? But I'll tell you, man, with the potential for extra footage and how beautiful the movie looks with this recoloring, I might have to make the time to go see this thing. So let me know, do you guys plan on seeing Endgame Encore? And what do you hope to see? And what do you expect to see in this additional footage added to the film? If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. I've been Colton Ogburn. I'll see you next time. Bye!